controversy, opinion, point of view. This is Prime News.
Good evening, I'm Vinny Politan, and welcome to Prime News. Tonight, Gary Giordano is a free man. He has left Aruba. He is in the United States, and he's speaking to the media. This morning, he was live on Good Morning America, being interviewed by Robin Roberts. We're going to take a look at that interview. We're going to break down his body language and figure out exactly what all this means. You know, do we believe this guy? Do we not believe this guy? I mean, it was an interview unlike any interview I've seen of someone suspected of killing another human being. This guy took control. He was confident. He was aggressive. Let me get right to my guest. Joining me tonight, criminal defense attorney Drew Findling. Great to see you, Drew. And with me here in studio, body language expert Patti Wood. Good evening, Patti. Thanks for coming in. All right, Drew, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at all these pieces of this interview. Patty's going to break down the body language. I'll get your take as well, Drew. So, Patti, let's start right away. We got the screen right over here. We're going to take a look at it. Gary Giordano on Good Morning America.
I've been interviewed and interrogated by the best Dutch investigators. I've answered that question 50, 60 times. I'm not prepared to, at this point, go from the moment of that day to the end of the day. I'm just not going to do that. I'll answer specific questions you have, but I'm not going to sit here and answer something I've answered repeatedly.
Specific questions about that day?
Yeah.
Well, people were asking, well, that day there were many accounts that you all had been drinking heavily.
I've never heard that. Yeah.
All right, Patti, let's take a look at it. What do you see in his body language? He's a confident guy, first of all.
Absolutely. He started the interview leaning forward, hunched forward towards her. Really unusual for somebody suspected of murder. Also, when he was asked a totally different question, and he answered totally differently. He didn't answer directly to the question. Also, when he was asked about the drinking, in that particular moment, he totally was surprised about the drinking, though he was prepared later to explain the fact when he was asked about whether or not they were drunk. Watch when that happens. Okay. Watch how he answers that question.
And from Good Morning America, here's again Gary Giordano.
What was the condition of the sea that day when you all went snorkeling?
Well, I'll answer this. The drinking thing, I know there was videos of us at the Rum Runner, okay? We didn't order drinks. We weren't drinking heavily. She was walking, I was walking. We were a sober couple, okay?
There's a lot of okays there. What do you make of those okays?
Actually, he does a verification. K, like, I want you to listen to me. It actually, to me, indicates his desire to control the conversation. There's 7 times in just a minute and a half. He does that K. I typically see that in people that have high egos and one verification that they're right. In this case, it's another example of him asked one question. He answers with a totally different subject.
Yeah, he did. Let's take a look at more of that interview again from Good Morning America. Gary Giordano.
And I'll just interview myself, if you don't mind, okay? The hard questions I understand are, he took her to a remote location, right? We were 100 yards from a scuba diving store with tanks in the back. We were 100 yards from a scuba diving store, not a remote location, okay? We were in view of other people at Baby Beach. So let's clear that up.
All right. Notice, what's this with the eyes? They kind of like open up the eyes and shake their head.
Again, I'm right. Aren't I right? Aren't I right? So that desire to be right. His confidence is amazing. And right there, you also hear in his voice the paralanguage, his anger, which to us seems sort of bizarre considering the circumstances.
Yeah, I can understand maybe the anger that, you know, people, we in the media have been suspecting him. He's been locked up.
You know, you're casually just knocking on doors. It doesn't seem like you've been in the ocean and completely, you're dry there.
Well,
how do you explain your
That's
actions
totally incorrect.
after?
That's totally incorrect. You can see I'm dry there. How can you tell I'm dry there? There is over 50 pictures of me after this film. They're pictures of when they all came down. I'm wet. Okay, I'm wet.
All right, should we be believing this guy? I mean, I can't tell if he's wet or dry from these photos, I'll be honest with you.
The video is so hard for us to analyze, even as a body language expert, because we don't know his state of exhaustion. I thought it was interesting that he spoke to his exhaustion.
Right.
Because we're thinking somebody in this situation would be desperate. They'd be screaming. They'd be running. But he's explaining all the video away.
Does that tell you anything?
exhausted.
That doesn't sound truthful to you,
Well,
Patti. Are you
I would
at this point, are you believing him?
I'd expect it. No, I'd expect his
No.
body to be down. I'd expect him to go, I was so upset, but right then I was so exhausted. It's too pat. He was too rehearsed by his lawyer.